Communication Error.
Welcome to 78 of Communication Error, a gaming debate podcast where we may not always agree, but if we listen to what one another has to say, maybe we'll be able to fix our communication error. I'm one of your hosts, Cheesy, and the man who is laughing at me because I don't. What did I say? What's wrong?
What didn't you say? Welcome
What
to
didn't I say?
78.
Oh,
Not episode 78. You just said
What did I
welcome to
say?
You said welcome to 78.
well, you know.
Close
Yeah.
enough.
Welcome to 78. Johnny is freaking out about the Switch. Switch 2 being announced this week. Do you really think that it's going to be announced this week? I mean,
I hope so.
For the listeners, if it is released, then they're in the future. But for right now, this is Monday the 28th.
Yeah, it's Monday. So, I mean, there's been some things going around. You know, the leakers. We talked about leaks the past couple weeks. The leakers have come out and said, there's going to be a reveal soon. And Pyroro, or however you say his name, Pyroro, like
He's back?
yeah, he put something on his profile that was like Alarmo, but it had a date and time, and I don't know. It was supposed to be Monday or Tuesday of this week, or it could be next week.
Why would he be back?
I don't know. Why not?
After,
For
like,
clout.
For cloud, but like the humiliation that he went through.
People have short
also, how is
short memories.
How has Nintendo not done anything about it? Like, wouldn't they have went after his account after finding out that he was getting the information in the backside?
He could just be trying to get relevance again. But then there's that PH Brazil person that said something that it's supposed to be soon. So
okay.
I don't know. All I know is if it does get revealed this week, Jeeb has to delete his Twitter account.
I was gonna mention that. I wasn't sure if you saw that or not. But if he does, I mean,
it's probably for the best anyway. Nobody wants.
At least
Twitter.
he did it. And that's also very true.
Yeah, but will he actually do it? I know what you're gonna say. You're like, well, at least he'll follow up on it. If he loses, he'll actually do it. But I didn't do the chip yet.
Yeah,
but we don't know if he's actually gonna do it.
So you agree?
What?
You haven't done the chip yet.
No, I haven't done the chip yet. I think everybody knows that.
Boo!
I mean, I don't know what you're trying to get at. Everybody knows.
Trying to get you to eat the chip. I know.
Yeah, I know.
When is that happening?
I have to plan. It has to be a thing. It has to be an event.
It doesn't have to be.
Yes,
a big event.
It has to be an event. I'm not almost going to die to just for 3 people to watch it and be like, oh, okay, that was that then.
The planet, man. It's almost been a year already.
It has not been a year. It's been 3 weeks, or maybe a month.
3 weeks. Okay. How was your weekend?
It was good. We volunteered at we've been fostering kittens. If people don't know, and we volunteered at the shelter this weekend because they were having a yard sale to raise some money for the shelter, and that was fun. And then Kelsey had somebody from a friend from school come and they hung out with the kittens and stuff. So it was a good time. And then, yeah. Oh, I went to see Venom: The Last Dance on Friday.
Oh, how is it?
It was okay. I mean, I knew what I was getting into.
Sure.
When I bought the tickets, I mean, the first 2 movies weren't anything special, but they're enjoyable. And Kelsey actually said she liked it more than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Whoa. So I also like the Venom movies. Oh wait, why? Why did she like it more?
Because Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't really have a story. It's a terrible. Well, it has a very weak story.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Because all it is cameos and jokes.
Yeah. I think it was enjoyable, but for me, it got to a point where I was like, Ryan Reynolds Deadpool after a while is like a sugar rush. Like it's fun, but towards the end you're like, man, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I think it felt like people did not tell him no. Like it's just
Oh
like
yeah.
just stop. Like they didn't have to show that dog more than once. Like they thought that
Uh-huh.
dog was hilarious.
Yeah.
They did it like three different
Uh-huh.
times, and it's like, well, it was not really that funny the first time, and I don't think it's funny the third time.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm interested in Last Dance because like I like the Venom movies. I also agree they're not like the greatest. I also really like Tom Hardy, so like anything that he's in, I usually check out. Uh, but I know it's just gonna be kind of silly. And was it like a good ending? Like without spoiling anything, like would you say it was a good trilogy?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it was what I expected. I won't spoil anything. I think Tom Hardy does a good job with that character.
Hmm.
I like how when it's just him and Venom's like talking in his head, you can tell he's trying to listen to Venom, but also trying to listen to the person that he's talking to. And
Yeah,
I think he does a good job with that.
nice,
But yeah, it's not the best movie, but it was enjoyable. I don't regret seeing it.
cool,
Well, what'd you
right
do over the
on.
weekend?
Not a whole lot. We're just getting ready for this baby and just setting up like the final touches of the nursery and we've made a makeshift guest room for people who are going to be helping us out and went to a Halloween party which I have posted photos on Twitter and Instagram. My wife killed it. She was Thor from Endgame. So she is like, with her pregnant belly, it's just like really big. She wore some pajama pants and like a robe. Honestly, for being pregnant, I think it was probably like the most comfortable
That's
costume that she could have chosen.
that's funny. That I
Man,
saw the pictures. It's good. It's good.
yeah, yeah. And I was Steve Rogers, skinny Steve Rogers, because like I'm not Captain America built, but I think I am built like he was before he, became Captain America.
It's pretty good. I like the theme. I like the couples. Oh, I don't know if that's not really a couple costume, but
I mean, no, we try to do a couple costume. I really do enjoy our costumes. Just uh, in the past, we've done like I was JD, she was Elliot from Scrubs. We've done Stan and Wendy from South Park. Ben and Leslie from Parks and Nope. Or whoa,
Parks
what?
and Nope.
Parks and
Man, what
Nope.
is going on in your brain? It's Leslie
Honestly,
Nope.
I worked by myself today for 7 hours. No one should ever have to do that. And then I just finished the Nuggets game where they have not been doing well this season, and it went into
There's like
overtime.
80. There's like 80 games, bro. It's
Oh, I
fine.
know, but it's not looking
And like
good right now.
95% of the teams get in the playoffs.
It's not looking good. But I don't know. You're right. It's still very early. What I was trying to say is like we've done a lot of costumes that have been a lot of fun. She was Stargirl and I was Huey one year from The Boys. I think we did good on that one. But yeah, we that's like our thing. And now next year we'll get to do it with our daughter.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I dressed up over the weekend too. Nothing like intense, but
Hmm.
we got onesies, like cat onesies. So I was like a
Nice.
Siamese cat, and Kelsey was a black cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's
So
your
we
favorite cat?
favorite cat? Oh, I don't know. I have to say black cat and calico cat because those are the two I had.
Yeah. I'm a sucker
Okay,
for
so
tabbies.
before we get, we're fostering two tabbies right now, and they're adorable.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
Before we get into the topic, I did want to bring up basketball because I started trying to follow
Yeah.
it, and Embiid, stop being a jerk.
I agree.
You greedy
I'm
SOB.
with you. So, for those that don't know, this is a gaming podcast, but we're going to give you some sports context real quick. Joel Embiid plays for the 76ers. He's
Does he
really
play?
good.
Does he actually play for them? No one knows.
That's a good point. That's a good point. He has decided to not play the first 3 games, and the NBA is in started an investigation to find out why. He has also said that he does not want to play back-to-back games this season. So like I don't know what his deal is. He's getting paid
Didn't he say
millions.
he was only gonna pay or play like 60 games a season or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I know there's like, bro, you're getting. I think he signed a $170 something million contract for 3 years, and you're just like, oh no, I'm not gonna play.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then like Paul George, you guys just signed. He was a big deal from the Clippers, but he's been injured. So I really feel bad for Tyrese Maxey, but he just scored 40 points, I think, last night. So like good for him. He should be doing really well, but he doesn't have his other like players that are helping him out. And yeah, Joel Embiid, like, what is your deal? It's terrible. Yeah. Anyway, leave us reviews. So we stop talking about sports and weekends, and just get to the games, you monkeys. If you can leave us a 5-star review, we'll read it on the show. Whatever it is, could be hurtful, could be really nice. We prefer it to be nice, but whatever. 5 stars, we'll read it. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube. And join the Discord. The Discord is a really fun place, which is actually one of the reasons that we have a topic for this week, because somebody kind of mentioned it in our Discord, and so we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so, well, before, again, I'm sidetracking this before we get into the subject, because I need to know, Vampire Survivors was free this weekend. Did you play it?
I played a little to the left. I really wanted to get to Vampire Survivors, and I still have time until the 30th. So I do want to check it out. However, that did not happen.
I did buy a little to the left.
Okay.
I feel a little bit dumb.
Yeah, I don't. For me, it's not. I'm not buying it, but I do enjoy it. I do think it gets a little repetitive.
It's a organization puzzle game, I would say.
Yeah, and like the music is really good.
Chill. It's a very chill, cozy game. It's something that you just play for a few minutes, like do a couple puzzles, and even if you're dumb like me, there's a hint system that I like how there's multiple ways you could solve the puzzle.
What do you mean?
So you know how you get a star if you solve the puzzle?
Yeah.
Well, if it has a star, like a filled-in star and a blank star, that means there's another way to solve that puzzle.
Oh, yeah. I thought that just meant like you have to do it in fewer like turns.
No. It's it's nothing to do with that. It's because I forget what one I did where I did two. There was 3 ways to solve it. I did 2 of them.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's like clever. Like maybe it's like the one was one was pencils, and one way to solve it is to organize them in like how sharp the tip is.
Okay.
Another way to solve it is how low the eraser is.
Oh, okay.
I think that's really cool about that game, and I also it's like when you solve a puzzle, a cat might swipe it and disorganize it again. So it's a very, I think it's a me game that I like. I like it.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it too. I don't find myself buying it, but for a trial and like being able to play it for free, I think it's worth it.
It's on sale right now too.
What is the other one? Cursed Golf?
Cursed Golf. Yeah, I've owned that, and I don't really like it too much, but I got the 100 platinum points. Also, shout out to DePizzi. He bought Balatro finally.
Whoa.
Yeah. So hopefully he enjoys it. Everybody buy Balatro. Okay, finally, we're getting to the topic. And No Less Guy in the Discord had brought this up, and it's like, do studio names even matter anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I think about it, I was trying to think of like what games or what IP this really kind of relates to.
Mm-hmm.
And the big one that I thought of was Halo. So
Okay.
the Halo IP initially was under Bungie,
Yes.
and then they went independent, or they spun off from Microsoft after the third, or after Halo Reach. They spun off from Microsoft, and then it got passed over to 343, which is now Halo Studios, or I forget what it's called, but 343. That's what everybody knows it by.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't like the 343 made Halo games. Like they feel, they just feel different than what Bungie made originally.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was trying to think of, like what to talk about for this topic, it's like, yeah, we want some of these games to come back. We want some of these IP to come back, but those studios might not exist anymore, or the people at those studios might be gone.
Yeah.
So it could feel different than what you want.
So I wanted to go back and find that comment by No Less Guy. He said, "So a small thought I had, with a lot of people being laid off, how much weight does a studio name really have? It's the people that make a team, not really the name." And it's something I really haven't thought of, because I think another one that you had mentioned before we even like said that we were going to do this topic was Banjo. Like everybody wants a new Banjo Kazooie game, but like that team is pretty much gone, and they are now Platonic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Platonic, like Ukulele, is a fun game. I don't know if it really uh lives up to like the Banjo name.
Speaking of Nintendo Switch 2, Yuka Replay is a
Uh huh.
confirmed game on Nintendo Switch 2.
What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't see that? So they released
No.
a trailer. This does tie in. They released a trailer of Yuka Replay, the remastered
Yeah. Yeah.
ukulele, and
Yeah.
it just had, you know how they always have like Xbox, PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch.
Switch.
Well, instead of
Yeah.
Switch, they just had Nintendo. They're like, Thanos thing,
That's
I'll do it
weird.
myself. I'm gonna announce it
Yeah.
myself.
Well, they would be the team to do it because they're very cheeky in that way.
Yeah, so no, that's a good example. Like a lot of the Rare developers that were on the Banjo team or have moved on, and they're ukulele. And I do think ukulele, and the second one I really like, the Impossible Lair,
Impossible Layer. Yeah.
the one that's more like Donkey Kong Country,
Uh huh.
is very well done, and it feels like Donkey Kong Country. But yeah, so if we got a Banjo game that nobody liked, Nuts and Bolts. That was I mean that was made by Rare, but that
Did
was
nobody
what
like it, or did nobody play it?
I don't know. I think I remember playing it. I remember enjoying it for what it was. But it wasn't like your Banjo
Yeah, it
Tooie
wasn't.
or Banjo. It
Yeah.
wasn't a Banjo 3. Exact. It
Yeah.
wasn't the continuation of that series.
Mm-hmm.
And another one that I'm thinking of that we're gonna have a new game come out next year, hopefully, is
Mm-hmm.
Retro Studios. A
Yeah.
lot of those people left, and a lot of people at Retro are not the same ones that did the original Metroid Prime games.
So I agree with you, and I think that with Metroid Prime Remaster, that was like homework for them. And I mean, that game has gotten great reviews. And I guess what I hope for, even if you don't have the same team, because that's just what happens, people leave, they don't stick around, that the studio still has like what they want their studio to be. Like they have like a reputation that they want to follow. Just because there's new people doesn't mean that everything has to change. Like, yeah, there can be change, and you can grow that way. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm thinking about Disney. Like, Disney still upholds their name in some ways that's like, this is the Disney magic that we want to bring to people. And if you're going to be a part of that, you have to follow it.
Yeah, and I do think if it's the same studio, I could see it not really changing as much. I'm trying to think, like, what about if the IP goes to a completely different studio?
Yeah.
Like, think of, we just had Echoes of Wisdom come out. That is from Grezzo,
Yeah.
which is not a Numa's team.
No.
Do you think that felt different than games from Enuma?
It's hard to say because I mean they did Link's Awakening. So if they were trying to do the same thing that they did with Link's Awakening, then I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah, I mean Link's Awakening was a remake, so they already had the groundwork there, but Echoes of Wisdom was a brand new entry in that series, and I'm assuming I think Enuma still had like his hands in the pie.
Yeah.
I think it feels like a Zelda game. Like it definitely has the feel of like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with the exploration. The combat felt like Zelda. The puzzles felt like Zelda. Like if you were to tell me that was made by Grezzo, I want to like, or it wasn't made by the main Zelda team, I would be like, oh, why it didn't feel like that.
Say again, like you feel like it was made by the Zelda team?
Yeah, like I feel like it's good enough to have that quality that the main Zelda team has.
Okay.
Even though it was made by
for a 2D top down. Yeah.
But I don't think it was that far off from like what we're used to in Zelda games to make me think, oh, this definitely isn't made by the main team.
Yeah, that one's just hard because even though it was a new entry, it was a new. It wasn't a spin-off. It's a mainline, but because you have Zelda, who is a magic summoner, that's something that we haven't had in the series before, where Link is using a sword and arrows and bombs to combat everything. So yeah, I mean, I think they did a great job. It's surprising to me though when you brought up like studios that get the IP and like if they do a good job with it, you skipped right over Bandai Namco with Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like, yeah, Metroid Prime 4 was originally being developed by Bandai Namco, right?
Yeah.
And Nintendo came in and said, "Well, that's who knows what the story was, but they took it from Bandai Namco and gave it to Retro." Mm-hmm. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Other M was made by Bandai Namco.
There's no way to know.
There's no way to know.
That doesn't sound right to me, but maybe.
Let's see. Well, I mean, if we want to it's Team Ninja. Team Ninja, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we want to stick with Metroid, a team that seems to be taking over the 2D Metroids is Mercury Steam.
It's hard to say.
I wonder if like Nintendo gives them a remake to like test the waters, because they did it with Mercury Steam and they did it with Grezzo. So they give them a remake and see how they do and see how it's received, and then they let them do another entry. And I think Metroid Dread is a phenomenal game. Like, it's one of my favorite games on the Nintendo Switch. And I can't wait to see what they do with the next entry.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely feels different than Metroid Prime. And I wonder if, like Bandai Namco, they tried to put their spin on Metroid Prime, but it felt too different from the other games. And Nintendo's like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, you know how we have like a release the Snyder cut? We needed like a release the Namco cut.
Yeah,
or something.
And because Bandai Namco, they have a good relationship with Nintendo. They work on Smash
and Pokemon Snap. Like one of the best looking Pokemon games out there.
Too
New
bad
Pokemon
it's not
Snap.
fun to play.
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. All the yeah, I mean, it's upsetting to me how you haven't gotten through some of the different paths that you can take and all the different Pokemon that you can
I
like.
just feel like it doesn't have the same impact anymore because now we can like just take screenshots of games.
Yeah.
Like it's not that fun to just go around taking pictures. Like that's the games, taking pictures.
Yeah. It's fun.
I mean, it was fun back on the N64 when we didn't have like these little buttons where you just screenshot anything and capture anything.
Hmm.
Or
Which
photo
sometimes
modes.
it is a mistake because if you let like a little kid use the controller, you probably have like a bunch of like random screenshots because they're just hitting that button over and over
I
again.
just have like a ton of so the screenshots they're locked to like the SD card. Are they locked to the SD card or the system? I don't know.
Both.
But
It
each of
depends.
my like switches have multiple different screenshots.
Yeah.
So I would have to. I don't know where anything is.
I think though, like this kind of goes back into the conversation of nostalgia, and do people just want new games from these studios that that they loved the series and they want to see something new from the same studio, or is it like no, let's see what they can bring back, and what you get, you just have to be happy with because you had it's the argument of like you have to be happy with what you have, not what you don't.
Well, I think there are definitely studios that I feel confident in, no matter what. If anybody leaves, like Retro, I feel will produce a solid game no matter what. Like,
Hmm.
I can't think of a game where they missed. I mean, we haven't seen a game from them for 10 years, but
Hmm.
I'm Beyond looks really good. I have confidence that that's going to be a fantastic game.
Yeah,
Same with like Next Level Games. If I hear Next Level Games is on anything, like
for
it's
the
gonna be
most part.
good.
For the most part.
Oh yeah, they did Battle League. Forgot about
Yeah,
that.
your Battle League.
I think that was on Nintendo. The way that the sports titles were handled on the Switch like was terrible. I hope they don't do that again.
Hmm.
But I do think because Camelot did the same thing. They held
Yeah.
content back, and I
Hmm.
think Nintendo was like, all right, you have strikers, but like here's how you have to do it.
I think it's like they don't know how to handle DLC, and they think that like holding back characters that like you love and will finally be released one day is exciting DLC,
Yeah,
when it's like no, just put them in the game.
yeah, just release them, just
Yeah.
release them. I do think they stopped doing that. Like they haven't said like, oh, there will be free updates in the future for. I can't think of any game that they've said that for recently.
I mean, Splatoon is a good example of
That's true,
free DLC.
but that at least has the seasons.
Yeah.
Like if they had seasons like that for all these games, like I would have been happy. I would have been happier with the sports games if they did that as opposed to trickling like two characters every 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
They
Even
also
Switch Sports.
yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that was how long was that between updates? It was like six
A week,
months
I
and then
think, wasn't it?
another.
No, no, no. I'm talking about
Oh,
like the costumes and like the gear that you can get and the different equipment. Like it was a kind of a grind because it was every week they added something new, but that was also kind of fun
yeah,
that,
no,
you could earn new things.
I definitely think them doing the free seasons for Splatoon and Nintendo Switch Sports was like on the right path. I think they just kind of missed the mark. Uh, People don't want to make those things their full time job. Like
Yeah.
give us challenges to speed things up,
Yeah.
or you know, a lot of these games, like I've been playing the new Call of Duty game, which is fantastic. And if you're talking about studios, Treyarch Studios is one. So Call of Duty has, I think, three in rotation, three
Okay.
studios.
Huh.
I believe. I don't know. I haven't. I know it's Treyarch. And then there's Infinity Ward, or there used to be Infinity Ward. And then I think there's one other, but I can't remember. So there's three different studios all doing Call of Duty games. So everybody's like, "Oh, Call of Duty is an annual release. It's an annual release," but it's three. It's actually like a 3-year cycle
Okay.
because there's three different studios working on these games.
It's like Pokemon at this point.
Yeah, uh, I mean that's all. The only game that wasn't like that was BDSP, which was Ilka.
Ilka. And then what was Legends? Was that
I mean, that
Game
was
Freak?
Game Freak. That was internal.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so Legends and Scarlet and Violet were both the main Game Freak team. I think they should do that. And I think that's how Nintendo should rotate. I talked about this before. That's how they should rotate their major IPs. They have, you know, somebody working on a 2D Mario, like a team working on 2D Mario, a team working on 3D Mario. Same with Zelda, a team working on 2D Zelda, a team working on 3D Zelda. Like I know the internal Mario team is going to be fantastic, but we haven't seen anything from them in 8 years or 7 years. What are they doing? So,
You got new people.
but I mean, I think I don't think people think about the studio name too much. Like I think they think about the IP, right? So when I'm talking about like Call of Duty, some people probably don't know that there's three different teams.
Yeah.
They don't know, like Black Ops 6 was made by Treyarch. Modern
I
Warfare 3 was made by Infinity Ward. Like
I
they're
think you're
two
right.
different.
I think it depends on like the bubble that you're in because I can think of like, if you're really into movies, you probably want to know, okay, like who's the writer, who's the director, who's the actors. Maybe if you're that deep, maybe who's the casting director, stuff like that. So I do think that it does matter, and it probably will make your experience a little better or get you even more excited to enjoy the product. But yeah, for the average person who's just playing games, they probably don't care.
Like most people probably think that all the Mario games are made by the same team.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
Well, at this point, they probably just think it's Nintendo because Nintendo doesn't even
Yeah.
reveal who their developers are anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for Nintendo, the studio name really doesn't matter because they don't reveal it until. Well, I don't think they ever reveal it. I think people like go to the credits.
Which is crazy because like Brothership looks so good, and apparently, what's rumored right now is that it's the team that developed Octopath.
I mean, I don't think it's a rumor. I think it's true.
Is it true?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
because that game got dumped, so everybody.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
people
no.
are
So
playing
it's
it
it's the
already.
team that made Octopath, and so it's
That should
interesting.
be celebrated.
No, it's interesting because we're talking about this. I'm gonna call out Crawler because so when that came out, we put it in our Nintendo Powercast chat, and Crawler's like, "Oh, does that mean Square worked on it?"
Hmm.
And no, it's just the developer that worked with Square to
Hmm.
make Octopath.
To be honest, like I don't. I see where Crawler was coming from because I thought it was the same thing. I thought Square was the one that developed Octopath, not that
Well,
they
they
were
they
just like a
published it.
publisher.
They
Yeah,
published it, and
yeah,
I forget what this developer's called, but it's not Alpha Dream. Alpha Dream's the one that made all of the other Mario and
yep.
Luigi games. So I wonder if it's gonna. I mean, I have never really played the Mario and Luigi games, so I don't know what they're like. But for those who have played Mario and Luigi, I wonder if it'll feel different.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm excited to see what this team could do with that. it is disappointing that they decided to make a Mario and Luigi game and Alpha Dream like went bankrupt, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I think people get confused with IP, publisher, developer, like all that language gets lost.
Gets lost to the average like gamer or
Yeah,
what?
like did you know Call of Duty has 3 different developers?
I No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
At one point, it was Activision, right? Or were
Well,
they
Activision's the publisher. Well, I
Okay,
guess now Microsoft is the publisher because they own Activision.
right? Yeah,
So Activision owns the Call of Duty IP,
yeah.
and then it's developed by 3 different studios. At least I think it's 3, might be 2. I know it's Treyarch Studios, Infinity Ward, and I think Sledgehammer Games. But then there's also like Raven Software that helps with map development. And going back to Nintendo, do you know Monolith Soft actually worked on Legend of Zelda and
They
Breath of the
also
Wild and I think Pokemon. No, not Pokemon.
Splatoon. They
Yeah,
worked on
Splatoon.
Octo expansion.
Yeah, so like I mean I have faith in Monolith Soft. Like Xenoblade's a fantastic series. Like anything that they put their name on, I think is going to be pretty good. But people don't know that. People just think, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Nintendo developed this. Like they might
right.
even think Nintendo, the same team developed Zelda and Mario, something like that. Like they don't realize
But
that.
I guess since we are talking to like most of our listeners are people that are in the gaming community, or maybe they are learning more about the gaming community, uh, I would say that the studio name does matter to them. It's
I don't
interesting
know.
that like we're getting a new Doom game, we're getting a new Gears game. Like, do those still have the same people attached to it? Or do they have like a game Bible where, they gotta like look back and see what the series is and what, assets they use and what makes the game what it is. Like how do you bring that back after so many years of not doing anything with it?
Well, I think it's interesting that you brought up Gears, which was Epic Games. That now it
I
got
didn't
moved to
know that.
yeah. So it was Cliffy B. So Cliff
Okay.
Belinsky. He was the original
Okay.
creator. That now it's with Coalition, which is owned by Microsoft.
Hmm.
That's another IP that people did not really like after Epic Games gave it up. Like they're not. I think the
When did
Coal.
when did they give it up?
That was it was after Gears Judgment.
So
Gears of War
then
Judgment.
so then the next game after Judgment,
Yeah, so Gears of War
people
4 was
uh-huh
Coalition.
and people just they didn't like it as much.
Yeah, because it wasn't Epic Games, and we're gonna see the same thing with like Microsoft. They change developers all the time. Fable is coming out hopefully next year.
Mhm.
That used
Mm,
to be
maybe.
yeah, it used to be Lionsgate. Now it's gonna
Uh-huh.
be Playground Games, which Playground Games I have high hopes because they do the Forza Horizon games, so the open world Forza games. They
So like for someone who doesn't really care too much about like how games are made or whatever, it seems like you care a lot about
I do
studio
okay.
names.
I might be wrong. I might care about the developers. I do like to know who makes these games, because it does give me an idea of what kind of quality I'm going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, yeah, like like since we're big Nintendo fans, a lot of our listeners are Nintendo fans. Like when I heard that Brother Ships being made by the Octopath Traveler guys, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting because it's probably going to be pretty solid of an RPG.
I mean, right now it already looks pretty solid. Just from the trailer alone, the art style, the attacks that we've seen, like it looks good.
Yeah, no, so I think that is that's a valid point that developers they do give a like an idea of quality.
Hmm.
Like if you we're gonna rip on Ubisoft again. You know,
Your favorite thing to do.
once you hear Ubisoft's making a Star Wars game, you're like, I don't know about that. Or and EA's making
A Star Wars game.
Star Wars game. However, Respawn, the team that makes Star Wars, Survivor, and what was the other one?
Fallen Order.
Those are great games. Respawn is a fantastic studio. They did Titanfall.
Yeah, didn't you like Outlaw? Star Wars Outlaw?
I did like Outlaws. But just like when you hear like, oh, this game is being made by Ubisoft, you're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I'll just wait for a sale. Like, I guarantee that's what happened with Prince of Persia. And we saw what happened there. It didn't sell, and that studio got shut down. Now, Prince of Persia is a fantastic game. It's unfortunate that it got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not surprising. Because there's like a stigma.
It just sucks. Like, that game was really good. And I think what the developers were able to do with it was great. I wish that they would have gotten a second chance. And I do like
Nintendo, pick them up.
Sayaran said last week, like, Assassin's Creed may mess up, but they get another chance. But you have this studio that,
I mean, it sells no matter what. That's the thing.
No, I know. It just is a bummer.
Yeah, well, speaking of studios, because Ubisoft is a publisher, right? There's they own studios underneath them. Like, that was not Ubisoft main whatever. I don't know what it had a studio name. I don't know what it was. But that got, or it was at least a team. So that got disbanded. Nintendo should pick them up to make like a Metroid game. Get more Metroid games out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess there's like Ubisoft Canada or Montreal. It's also the team that did Rayman, isn't it?
Yeah, that's isn't it the were they Canadian or French? I think it was the French developers
who did Rabbids? There's no way to know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Was it Montreal?
I think it was.
Okay.
Well, hold on.
But anyway, I just know that like the Rabbids are pretty big with France. Like, they just love that humor.
It might have been France, actually.
But yeah,
Milan.
I liked
or Paris.
So it was Paris.
Yeah.
Nice. I would like to think that studio names matter. And when we're asking for new games from IPs that we love, like, should we? We don't even know what we're going to get. Like, I would love a Banjo 3, but I don't think it's going to be the same sense of humor. I don't think it's going to be the same kind of charm. Like, they might try to recapture it, but the team that was making those Rare games, like, think of Conquer as well. They're very cheeky, just British humor. And I just think it's one of those, like, magic in a bottle kind of thing, you know?
They should just let Playtonic make a Banjo game. Kind of like how the Crypto Necrodancer guy team made a Zelda game. Playtonic is the, like, I think the founder is the original Banjo creators, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a spiritual successor.
Yeah, so let them make one and see what happens.
Yeah.
But there was that thing that came out that I forget what rank or what title he had at Microsoft. They said that nobody cares about Banjo. Which, all right.
Do you think
this
that's true?
This might be a hot take.
Oh, damn. Here we go.
We are in a bubble, right?
Okay.
And what I read that to mean is Banjo games don't sell well. Like, if a Banjo Kazooie game was released on Xbox, it would not sell well.
Agreed. If it was released on Nintendo.
If it was released on Nintendo, it would sell better, but I still don't think, like, these people are looking for 10, 20 million unit sellers. They're not looking for 3, 4, 5 million unit sellers.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the problem with the gaming industry right now. Like, they have their numbers way too high for what they're trying to.
Prince of Persia sold 300,000 units. Like, you can't have a AAA game sell 300,000 units.
Okay, well then you shouldn't be making that game. Like, if that's your projection, if that's the numbers that you're trying to make, then don't make that game. But at the same time,
they had the Prince of Persia IP.
Yeah.
And they went with the genre that they thought people liked, but it's just not. They found out that it's not as popular. Like, that's what would happen with Banjo. Like, they would make a game, and not as many people will buy it, and they'll be like, "See, we told you."
How many people have bought Ukulele?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see.
Because
but
I think that might
indie games are. It's not a good barometer.
I mean, Platonic, I guess they're indie.
They are indie. Okay, so this is from 5 years ago. It did hit 1 million copies.
Okay.
1 million copies. Which, is great for an indie game, for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, people were showing the reaction to Banjo and Smash Brothers, and it's like, yeah, we might, we would buy it.
For sure.
But the general public would not buy it. People,
there were
3D...
there were many times where I would talk about it as a kid to my friends, and they had no idea what Banjo-Kazooie was. So I unfortunately agree with you that, like, I think the average gamer probably wouldn't know anything about it or wouldn't play it.
Okay,
but
so
I think it's
It does say that Banjo-Kazooie sold 3.6 million units on N64, which is more than Majora's Mask.
Wow.
Yeah. It's number 47 on the best-selling... Wait, no, hold on. Where'd it go?
That's surprising because, like, what...
number 10.
I guess at the time, you had Mario 64, which was huge, and people wanted more of that.
Yeah. Now, I do think we might be seeing some sort of 3D platformer renaissance, hopefully. Astrobot apparently is selling pretty well.
Yeah.
I think Sonic Generations sold 1 million copies in a day, which is kind of impressive. I don't know what they were expecting, but that seemed like a really good milestone.
I think there probably are a lot more Sonic fans now than there was, and I think that the movies are kind of
guess what's
helping.
smart? Guess what they did? They are actually smart. They released a Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Yeah.
A couple months leading up to a Shadow Hedgehog, like a Sonic movie with Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be the exact same, like, thing as the movie, but you're right. Like,
but there's people are going to be like, oh, I really like Shadow, and it's called Sonic and Shadow Generations. Like, Shadow's in the name.
Yeah.
Sega is smart. Sega do what Nintendo don't. All right. I've actually been playing. So I hate on Sonic a lot. But
are you playing it?
I'm playing it. It is good. Like, it is fun. I am enjoying it.
Wow. Wait, so what do you like about it? Because you've always complained that you're just going too fast and you don't have time to look around. And So
I mean,
what has
that is
changed your
pretty much
mind?
it. But it's kind of like I don't know. It's just I just kind of turn my brain off and watch all the bright colors and all the stuff speed by, and shadows just kind of cool. So I don't know. It's I've been really enjoying. So they kind of set it up like Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. I don't know if you've seen
Mm-mm.
there's like the home screen where you have Sonic Generations on the left, and then you have
Okay.
Shadow Generations on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, or mirror. I don't know. When you're looking at it, it's on the right, but it looks exactly like 3D World and Bowser's Fury. So they're going off that.
So is Sonic Generations old game, and then
Yeah,
Shadow is like the new one? Okay.
yeah. So Sonic Generations came out on the 360 PS3 era,
Okay.
and I think the Shadow is I think it's new. I might be wrong, but I think it's a new like entry. But I've been really enjoying it. I've actually been enjoying games recently. I know that doesn't happen very often for me, but
Hmm.
I've been playing Sonic and Shadow Generations. I've been playing some Call of Duty, Black Ops 6. That game's awesome. Put on some emo music, and I'm right back in college.
What's making you enjoy gaming?
I don't know. It's just honestly, I think it's because my hours at work aren't as crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'm not stressed out, and I could just kind of relax and play games.
Yeah.
I am close to beating Echoes of Wisdom. I need to get back into that. I do really like that game. I think it's very good. But yeah, I don't know what we were talking about.
Just studio names. Like,
Studios.
yeah.
Like when I hear, I'm just trying to think. I'm just trying to bring it back to a a game that wasn't made by like the normal studio,
That
and
was good or bad?
that was either that I didn't know what to expect. I guess like, oh, I really like this IP, but it's made by this studio, so I don't know how it's gonna be.
Uh-huh.
I guess Star Wars Outlaws was like that.
Yeah.
I was worried that since it's a Ubisoft game, it's a little skeptical.
Hmm. Yeah, there's not really one that comes to mind for me. I'm trying to think. Maybe Mercury Steam would be one. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I think.
I think they knocked it out of the park. Like Mercury Stream, they took the Metroid IP and they did something really really good with it. So I
Mhm.
think they now control the 2D Metroid games, which is
Mhm.
exciting to me. I have faith that whatever we get next is going to be good.
Mhm. And then there's times where it's like you don't know the studio name, but you really liked the game, and now I'm like, who made that? And I'm thinking of Live Alive.
Okay, who did that one?
I have no idea, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't know who did that.
Um, I'll look it up, but that was a game that really surprised me.
I wonder if it's the same. I wonder if it's the same because it's the HD 2D.
Right. So I don't know if they got who was it?
It
Was it
just says
Octopath Travelers? No.
Historia Inc. Is that something? I mean, it's Square. It was Square. It says
They're the
developed and published by Square.
huh.
Unless that's hold on. But Square is
Yeah,
another one that has. Whoops, sorry. A bunch of developers under their umbrella.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I can't find it. But anyway, it was good.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely. So okay, so here's another one that just came out. So Persona was made by Atlas or
Yep.
published by Atlas, but the team just released Metaphor. I don't know how to say it, but people jumped onto that game because of Persona,
Sure.
and I think that's another one that was very successful for
I think
Atlas and Sega.
Yeah, people jumped onto Age of Calamity because of Breath of the Wild, even though
Yes,
that's a very different style game.
yes, and there you go. That's one. I will. Well, I don't know who developed those Musu games, but like I know I'm not gonna like those games.
Because of the genre, not because of the developers.
Yeah, I mean whoever makes it, I don't know, but
Um,
but yeah,
yeah,
I
it
mean those types of
was.
games I just don't like. So when they got the Legend of Zelda IP, it's fun for like 5 minutes, and they're like, oh, it's just button mashing the whole time.
Omega Force publishers is Koei Tecmo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but everything from software, no matter what they release, I know it's gonna be a banger. They have a ton of different IPs, and they're all good. I will say From Software makes Dark Souls,
Mhm.
and Dark Souls 2 is considered the worst Dark Souls, and it's because the creator Miyazaki was not involved. So I think that has a lot to do with it. If like the creator of the IP is involved, it usually turns out pretty well because they kind of have control over it.
Was
But
he involved in the other games
oh yeah,
after that?
yeah. So Dark Souls 1, 3, Bloodborne, Sekiro, like all the From Software games.
Okay.
But anything that is made by From Software is a banger. Like there's no like, even Dark Souls 2, like I enjoyed that game. I don't think it's bad. People just don't like it because he wasn't involved, but there are developers, studios that I am 100% confident in. I'm trying to think
hmm
of any studios that I'm not confident in right now. Like what's a bad studio?
I'm sure people are yelling at us right
Comments.
now.
What's a bad studio?
Maybe Game Freak. Like it's still
Uh,
Pokemon, so like you're still going to enjoy it for Pokemon, but like
Ilka.
there's definitely more that they could do.
They don't know how to make console games, and I
Yeah.
don't know what they need to do. I think they have to like hire somebody that knows how to make console games because they're so used to making handheld games
hmm
that they just don't really know what to do
Yeah.
with the console. And if we have a more powerful console and they're still producing stuff that just doesn't run, like that sucks.
Yeah.
Ilka's bad. I didn't like BDSP, so I don't trust Ilka when I hear that name for
What else have they made?
I don't know, but they were probably involved in some other remakes. Ilka,
Yeah, it looks like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl,
yeah, those are
but
most.
yeah, I'm not seeing much.
So I'm glad because people thought that Ilka was behind Brothership, but I don't think they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Game
Dragon
Freak, yeah, that's
Quest,
probably a good one that people
Echoes
don't
of
trust.
Elusive. Yeah.
Let's just Google it. Bad video game developers.
But that's
Studios.
also
Worst video game
subjective,
studio. No, it
right?
is. I'm just seeing if there's any. These are publishers, but let's see. EA is like always on the hate it list, but that's business practices,
hmm
not really developer. Activision, same thing. Ubisoft, same thing. Capcom.
Capcom
Capcom
is killing it right
cooks.
now.
Let them
Yeah.
cook.
Yeah.
The Resident Evil team's awesome, and the Monster Hunter team's awesome.
Probably Blizzard, if I'm thinking about it.
That's
I
true.
mean, they probably
I feel like they're hit or
definitely.
miss.
Well, they ruined their reputation.
Oh yeah, well, hopefully they cleaned house.
Hopefully, yeah. But I do think that probably leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And if you do know that Blizzard is developing a game, maybe you're not buying it for that reason.
These are just like, oh, they're stupid. That list was stupid. That was not good.
So
But
I guess, do studio names matter?
I don't know about the names. I do think the studios themselves matter. Like,
I That's the same thing.
not you said names. I don't know if the names
Yeah.
matter.
Well, the name is attached to the studio.
I mean, I definitely think studios have reputation,
Uh-huh.
and it helps. Players be informed on whether a game could be, what to expect from the game.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, it all comes down to if the game's good or not, right?
Yeah.
Like you could have a really crappy studio, but the game they put out is really good, or you could have a studio that historically puts out bad or good games and they put out a bad game.
Okay, let's say good feel. Like they they put out some games that are cute, easy, but maybe don't always deliver. So it's hard. Like you're definitely going to get the charm of those games, but like, was it good all the way up until the end?
Yeah, I wish they would be allowed to make more of their own games as opposed to like
Well,
Yoshi,
because they made what was that one game that was only
Bakaru.
yeah, yeah,
That's pretty good.
and
It's a
people
good game.
really
It's
enjoyed
fun.
it, right?
Yeah, but like I did not like Crafted World. I did not like Woolly. Did they do Woolly World?
Yeah, you didn't like Wooly?
No, I didn't like the Yoshi games. Same with Kirby games. They're just too easy. Like I think HAL Labs, that's who does Kirby. I think
Yeah.
they're a good studio. I just don't like their games.
Is HAL Labs the studio with the wiener dog and then the eggs
Yeah,
that
they're
are
like the eggs
sleeping
and
next to
yeah,
it?
they do
Yeah,
Smash. It's
yeah, I
Sakurai
remember
Studio.
that from yeah, from Smash, and I think they were also part of Pokemon Snap. I could be wrong on that, but I just remember that being like a really funny logo, and I was just like always happy to see that logo appear when I was playing games.
Yeah, it is like burned into my brain when you turn on Melee.
Yeah,
Like that's what you see
yeah,
is the HAL Labs. I don't know if that's what it is anymore, but it definitely was a dog in a nest with eggs.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think HAL Labs is a good studio. I don't like Kirby games. So let them do other things.
Mhm.
I I think there are some IP that just kind of get lost because there are no studios attached to them. Like
Yeah.
that's what's happening with Star Fox right now. There's no one studio that made those games, I think.
Uh-huh. So I guess here's a better question. Would you would it be better if we didn't know the studio names? I guess kind of what Nintendo is doing. Like, is it better
Maybe
not
that is part
knowing?
of the strategy. Like if you don't know, you don't have preconceived notions going into it.
Right, but is that better or worse? Because you may really like the studio that is attached, but they're not saying who it is. Or if they don't say who the studio is, then you're like, okay, I guess I'll just see if I enjoy the game without them telling me who the developer is.
Yeah, no, it's hard to because I definitely have like whenever I hear what developer is making the game, it's like, oh, that makes me more interested or that makes me less interested.
Hmm.
But do I ever just think, oh, I want to play this game no matter what?
Yeah.
And if I like them, maybe I'll like this studio moving forward.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I play a lot of indie games. You don't know those studios like at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are a few that you know, like Team Cherry and Yacht Club games. But for the most part, you're going into those games blind.
Hmm. I think it is funny though. I was thinking about how maybe sometimes if we know who the director of like a movie is, maybe we're turned off by the idea of it. Because I was just thinking of like Fury Road. That's George Miller, but Miller also directed like Babe, Pig in the City, and Happy Feet. So like, would I have went and saw Fury Road if I knew that ahead of time? Or like, I guess also reception does kind of help too. Like if it gets good reviews or whatever,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
maybe you'll go see it for that reason. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
maybe
thinking like, well, movies. Christopher Nolan's a big one that people,
yeah.
you go see, you go see the movie because it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what the premise is.
Hmm.
But I think for movies, I more so go if I'm interested in the
Actors.
IP and actors
Hmm.
and premise. There is now I'm thinking so the Russo brothers
Hmm.
who did they do
Yeah, they did.
I know they did Captain America 2, Winter
Yeah, Winter
Soldier.
Soldier. They did Civil War. They did Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh, they did both of them. So there's a movie coming out on Netflix I think next year
Hmm.
that I'm interested in watching because I heard the Russo brothers were attached. Now I know Netflix movies are usually bad,
Uh huh.
but since the Russo brothers are attached, I'm interested.
Yeah, and before they were even attached to Marvel, they were making episodes of Arrested Development
And
and
yeah, Community,
Community.
yeah. That made me more interested in Community when I heard stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it does matter, like the names matter, but like how do you get your name to matter without
Hmm.
people trying out without knowing, you know?
Yeah, how many times does it take for people to know your name? Because it probably is not after the first try. Like that's probably pretty rare.
Yeah, because I'm going back to Retro Studios. We haven't seen anything from them for 10 years. Well, besides Metro Prime Remastered, but that was just
Hmm.
remastered.
Do you think they worked on Donkey Kong Country Returns again?
Oh, I
That
forgot about
should
that
that
game.
should be the
Yeah,
title.
yeah.
Not, but
Returns again. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we haven't seen them an actual newly developed game for
mm-hmm.
10 years. But I still think that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to be fantastic, just
Yeah.
because that they're developing it.
Or you're just holding on to hope that it is.
Yeah, but 10 years is a long time. Like, people would have left the studio, new people would have joined.
Absolutely.
I don't even know
Yeah.
if the head of the studio is still there.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of things can change in 10 years, or, you know, in
Hmm.
a couple of years between games. A lot of things can change. But I think the philosophy of that studio and of Nintendo is quality, and I have faith that they're going to deliver on it.
Hmm.
If I heard Miyamoto was leaving or retiring, um, maybe at this point it wouldn't matter. But like back, you know, when he was still heavily involved in development, it might have been like, oh, I don't know, maybe the next Mario game won't be as good.
Yeah. But I think that is probably what helps them out a lot is that they do have Miyamoto to kind of just oversee things and he can give his opinion. Not that he's necessarily working on the games, but they just have like proteges, you know, like
Yeah,
they understand what makes a Mario game, what makes a Zelda game. Um and I would hope that other studios are kind of doing the same thing so you don't lose that magic.
yeah. I think you know No Skies mentioned layoffs, and yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
But also people just leave jobs.
Hmm.
You don't typically people don't stay at their jobs ever, right? You're changing jobs fairly, maybe not fairly regularly, but you're changing jobs. So
Yeah, especially in gaming, where we have talked to developers where like they get hired for a job, they do the job, and now they're looking for a new one because it like that's it.
you know what I think is really cool? The ones that do spin off of uh, development companies. Like I saw there's a guy on TikTok. I wish I could remember his name, but I think he was a developer at BioWare or maybe id Software, something. He was a creature designer or something at one of these
Okay.
developers, and now he's making his own game. And like I'm interested to see what he could do on his own. You know,
Hmm.
what his same with I guess when the Platonic team spun off,
Yeah.
or when I think so the a lot of the retro studios people, original people, they spun
Hmm.
off into a studio that I don't know if it's around, but they released a game on Xbox One like 10 years ago. And I was interested to check that game out just because I knew that they were former retro studios people.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, studio names, developers, they all matter. Um, it's just how do you get to the point where people actually care about it?
Yeah. Do people care about our name?
Yeah, I wonder if people are like, John Ebo put another video out.
Have we you think we hit the threshold of episodes where people are like communication error? Yeah, I like them.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, we're at 78. That's pretty
Yeah.
much.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much.
pretty much. We're at 78. I was trying to go back to the beginning where you didn't say episode,
Callback.
but I
Yeah.
uh, I couldn't I
Welcome.
couldn't figure it out.
And also
Welcome.
goodbye to 78. Johnny, where can people find you?
I'm John Ebo everywhere: Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and the Nintendo Powercast. If we do another episode.
Yeah, Josh is kind of doing his own thing right now, which is totally understandable. So, if you have been wondering what's going on with Nintendo Powercast, we don't even know, but that's okay because like I'm happy for him and what he's trying to do. So go follow him on YouTube and all the socials. I think he's just doing more long form content. But you can follow me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, the Nintendo Powercast, GZC64, CHEEZYC 64. Johnny, close us out.
You ask the guests this all the time. I'm terrible, but
I agree with
hold
that.
on.
You are terrible.
I'll eat the chip eventually.
Uh,